In chapter 440, Blackbeard said that he had come up with a plan to conquer the world, and now finally 600 chapters later, it has become clear exactly on how he plans to do it. Because Blackbeard's plan is not to lead some grand war against Emu and the Celestial Dragons. No, with the events of Egghead Island, Blackbeard's true plan has become apparent, and it is far more cunning and far more devious in nature. In fact, in this arc so far, Blackbeard has already accomplished the first two steps of his plan, and by the end of the arc, Straw Hat Luffy will have accomplished the third step of Blackbeard's plan for him. This will leave Blackbeard very literally only one step away from his final goal of killing Emu and the Celestial Dragons and taking over as king of the world. We are very close to it truly being Blackbeard's age. So what am I talking about? Well, it all begins with Blackbeard's initial, smaller goal that he told us about, to become an official king, recognized by the world government. But first, I want to shout out the best meal prep service that you could be using, Factor, the sponsor for this video. Look, you don't want to cook.
Where's the lamb sauce?
It's a waste of time. There's no reason that at the end of a long day, you should be having to do additional work by making yourself food. You deserve to just have food delivered straight to your door that's actually healthy and tastes good, so that you never have to worry about following a meal plan again. That's exactly what Factor does. It sends you ready-made, restaurant-quality meals that are prepared by professional chefs, and they're planned by professional dietitians to be nutritious. So with Factor, no more unhealthy fast food, no more takeout, but also no more time-consuming cooking. So just go to their site and select from a ready-made plan that fits you, like Protein Plus, Vegetarian, Calorie Smart, Keto, or just pick a custom meal plan with food that you like yourself. I will tell you right now, I have not had to cook dinner in literally a year because Factor is just so much easier. I don't have to think, I don't have to work, I just get good food made for me and sent to me. And the best part is, if you're not sure about Factor, you can try your first box for 50% off. Just head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code MORGE50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and free wellness shots for life. You get 2 free wellness shots from 3 available flavors for every order while you're an active subscriber. So that's 50% off your first Factor box with free wellness shots using code MORGE50 at factor75.com, link below. So that aside, to begin with, when Blackbeard first told us that his current goal is to become an official king that is recognized by the world government, it initially seemed laughable. I mean, this is the same man who has already betrayed the world government once, nearly destroyed all of Marineford, and caused the biggest jailbreak in history. Blackbeard's not just a pirate, he's one of the worst criminals the world government has ever seen, not to mention he's a Yonko. How could a man like this ever be accepted back by the world government? Well, it's not as crazy as it sounds. Oda has actually established a lot of precedents for pirates and criminals, even the worst of the worst, being accepted as kings under the world government. For example, Doflamingo. Doflamingo was cast out of Marijua and labeled a commoner. He was stripped of his Celestial Dragon status, and he became a notorious pirate, hunted by the Marines. And yet, he was still able to negotiate his way back into being dubbed an official king under the world government. Specifically, Doflamingo used his knowledge of the secrets of Marijua to bargain with the world government. So the fact is that we have been shown that with the right amount of leverage, even the worst pirates can play their cards right to be made protected royalty by the world government. So does it really matter that Blackbeard is a pirate, when literally the underworld broker for every major pirate in the New World was able to become a king? And Doflamingo wasn't the only accepted king in the world government who was also a criminal. Germa 66 is literally known throughout the world as a notorious army of evil, and yet even they were able to be dubbed an official nation of the world government, with full permissions to attend the reverie. Even just the existence of the Shichibuka system shows that the world government is willing to make deals with pirates and give them certain elevated status in exchange for certain things. So theoretically, Blackbeard can be accepted as a king by the world government, and this is in fact a necessary step for his grander master plan. By achieving this initial goal of becoming a king under the world government, he will have nearly everything he needs, but we will get to that later in the video. First, how is Blackbeard going to be accepted by the world government as a king? It's a very tough sell. Again, he's already betrayed the world government once before, and he caused the jailbreak of all the level 6 prisoners. However, in Egghead Island, things clicked into place. To begin with, Oda established that with the right bargaining chip, Blackbeard could theoretically negotiate for official king status. Blackbeard even believed that Kobe would be enough to do the trick, as Kobe was being heralded as the new quote-unquote hero of the Marines. As a notable icon for citizens of the world everywhere, Kobe may have been too valuable of a symbol for the world government to lose, as the world government relies on maintaining its image. Would Kobe have been valuable enough that the world government would have gone so far as to make a Yonko like Blackbeard a king? It's hard to say, but at the end of the day, that question never got answered, as Kobe was disqualified from being a bargaining chip due to being a member of SWORD. The way Aokiji explained it, as a member of SWORD, Kobe is already, in a way, rebelling against the world government's authority, and as such it seems that the world government is already prepared to cut him loose if need be. So while Kobe simply doesn't work as a bargaining chip, this did open the door to the possibility that with a good enough bargaining chip, Blackbeard could feasibly be able to negotiate with the world government to attain the status he desires. And that's where Garp comes in. The entire raid on Hachinosu was a very extended cutaway battle, which Oda rarely does, suggesting that this was highly pivotal to the plot in some way. I mean, the last time we had an extended cutaway battle as elaborate as that was Ace versus Blackbeard, and we know the ramifications of that duel. So if Oda spent so much time on this huge raid, then it suggests that this raid was a very important development for the plot. For some reason, it was crucial to the broader narrative of One Piece that the Blackbeard pirates capture Garp. And I think that reason why is fairly simple. For Blackbeard's grand plan to work, Oda first needs to make Blackbeard an official king under the world government, and as such he needed to give Blackbeard a notable enough marine that could be believably used as a bargaining chip to negotiate with the world government. And so, Blackbeard had to capture Garp. After all, among all the Marines alive today, Garp is the single most valuable of them all. This man is very literally known throughout the world as the hero of the Marines. Garp is the most legendary Marine in One Piece history. There is no greater Marine celebrity than Garp. He is the Marine icon. Even if Blackbeard had captured an admiral instead, like Kizaru, it would still be debatable that Garp, simply through his name and reputation, would be a more valuable bargaining chip, because ultimately it's all about the Marines' PR. For the legendary hero who has been the symbol of the Marines for the last 40 years to be captured by pirates, it would completely shatter the people's confidence in the Marines. So even if making Blackbeard, a pirate emperor, into an official king would be a bad look for the world government, it's very possible that the symbol of the Marines being defeated and captured by pirates would be even worse for the world government. Blackbeard now has a tremendous amount of leverage to negotiate with, as the world government is essentially caught between a rock and a hard place. But even then, would this be enough? Would the Gorosei really go through with the decision to make Blackbeard king? Well, what if we had something else to tip the scales? What if, with the Gorosei undecided on what to do, one of the Gorosei spoke up and pushed in favor of making Blackbeard king? All it would take would be one strong voice to help facilitate making the difficult decision. And that's where Catarina Devon comes in. Devon has the ability to mimic Saturn's appearance and voice seamlessly. Throughout One Piece, we've seen how effective this type of an ability can be, both in Alabasta and particularly in Wano, where the Kurozumi woman actually impersonated Shogun Sukiyaki for literally years without anyone finding out. Devon has touched Saturn, so she can now most certainly impersonate Saturn and infiltrate the Gorosei, giving Blackbeard an inside woman who can manipulate the decisions of the Gorosei in major world affairs, and most importantly in the Gorosei's upcoming negotiations with Blackbeard. With Blackbeard having such a valuable bargaining chip in Garp, and having an inside woman to sway negotiations with Catarina Devon, it's near guaranteed that the world government will end up giving him his status as king. So Blackbeard's master plan is now coming together nicely. But now you might be saying, wait Morge, how is Catarina Devon just going to casually swap places with Saturn? The real Saturn is still around. And here's where things fall into place even further. There was something very specific Oda did to set up the identity theft of Saturn perfectly. It's so simple, yet it makes complete sense. During this final battle of Egghead Island, all the Marines were ordered to evacuate the island. Everyone except Saturn and Kizaru. Saturn and Kizaru are the only ones left on the battlefield. The reason is obviously because the island has been ordered to be Buster Called, so it's meant to be turned into a pile of flaming rubble. All the other Marines are being sent back to their ships, as Saturn and Kizaru are the only combatants who can actually stay on the island and continue fighting without being affected by a Buster Call. But in giving this order, Saturn has put himself at an unprecedented level of risk, because now there's no one else here to see what happens. It's just him and Kizaru left fighting against a Yonko crew. They have isolated themselves, meaning that whatever happens to Saturn here no one else will know. If Saturn is defeated and goes down with the island, and then a new Saturn, an imposter, steps out to take over his identity, literally no one would be the wiser. It would be the easiest transition ever for the Blackbeard pirates. The real Saturn is defeated, perhaps sent to the bottom of the ocean, but someone who looks and sounds exactly like him emerges from the battle and just reports back to the Marines and the Gorosei that Straw Hat Luffy managed to escape. And then off Catarina Devon goes, literally escorted back to Marijoa by the Marines. The Blackbeard pirates could not ask for a better opportunity than this, and it's all thanks to Luffy himself. Luffy defeating Saturn paves the way for Catarina Devon to impersonate Saturn. So by the end of Egghead, we have Blackbeard with his perfect bargaining chip, and Catarina Devon taking Saturn's place among the Gorosei to manipulate negotiations from the other end. When Blackbeard makes his proposal to the world government, and the Gorosei are inevitably uncertain as to whether or not they should capitulate to his demands, Catarina Devon as Saturn can subtly influence the others to agree to the deal. And just like that, Blackbeard has become king and gotten exactly what he wanted. We will be one step away from Blackbeard completing his plan. Now you might say, but Morge, wouldn't the Gorosei be able to immediately know if Saturn is fake thanks to observation haki? And I'll just get this out of the way, no, that is not how observation haki is written. To this day, you still constantly hear readers confused by characters being tricked or caught off guard because they assume that observation haki should prevent that. What everyone forgets is that characters aren't using observation haki by default. Almost no one in One Piece is walking around just using observation haki. It's the same way no one is walking around using armament haki all the time. It's the same way no one is walking around using conqueror's haki all the time. Like literally all haki, observation haki is something that characters activate when the situation demands. Usually when they are in a fight, or on occasion when there is a specific reason for them to check their surroundings. Observation haki is turned on as needed, it is not on by default. This was explained from way back that haki drains your stamina, which is why the only two characters in the entire story that have been confirmed to be constantly using observation haki are Fujitora and Katakuri. And Fujitora only does it because he's blind, and Katakuri always using observation haki was literally a unique, defining trait of his character that made him distinct from everyone else. That was his whole persona, being this always vigilant, never resting guardian. Nobody else is using observation haki all the time. The fact that the Gorosei and even Imu aren't normally using observation haki can easily be evidenced by the scene in the throne room with Sabo, where Sabo was spectating the entire conversation with King Cobra before jumping in and surprising Imu and the Gorosei. They very literally did not even know he was there, which means that Imu and the Gorosei don't just have observation haki on for no reason. I mean, the entire plot of Wano hinges on the fact that no one checked on Shogun Sukiyaki for years with observation haki, despite the fact that Wano had plenty of characters who are very skilled haki users. I mean, Oden himself got fooled by Sukiyaki's fake, and again by Momonosuke's fake. If Oden was always using observation haki, then these moments wouldn't happen. The reality is that copying someone's appearance in One Piece is a super effective way to impersonate them, simply because the way that Oda has written the story, the norm is for the characters to not use observation haki that often. As such, Catarina Devon could impersonate Saturn's appearance, and literally none of the Gorosei or Imu would have any reason to suspect that it's not the real Saturn. The only other obstacle to Catarina Devon impersonating Saturn would be if Kizaru saw that the real Saturn was defeated and reported that back. But Kizaru's own situation is complicated. To begin with, as Kizaru is going to be busy with his own fight, he could easily not see Saturn being defeated. Or on the other hand, Kizaru's own character arc may lead him away from the Marines in general, in which case he wouldn't be reporting anything back to the Gorosei. So all in all, with Saturn's imminent defeat and possible future lying at the bottom of the ocean floor, Catarina Devon's ability to seamlessly impersonate Saturn and take over his identity as a member of the Gorosei, and Blackbeard's ultimate bargaining chip of the Marine legend Garp, all the pieces are in place for Blackbeard to become king of a nation. However, why does he need this to become king of the world? Well, the reason is simple: access. If you think back through Blackbeard's history of always joining groups and then betraying them, the common thread has always been about access. Blackbeard joined the Whitebeard pirates because he knew that as a member of the Whitebeard pirates, he would likely get access to lots of powerful devil fruits that they would come across, including the Yami Yami no Mi that he desired. Blackbeard then joined the Shichibukai specifically for one reason only. He knew that as a member of the Shichibukai, he would be granted access to Impel Down, where he could free prisoners and directly recruit them to his crew to create one of the world's strongest crews from scratch. And now finally, Blackbeard wants to become a member of the world government as an official king. What do official kings have access to? Marijua itself. As we saw at the Reverie, a king of the world government is allowed to go to the Holy Land, a place where all commoners are forbidden. That is the final step of Blackbeard's plan. See, to become king of the world, Blackbeard needs to kill the current ruling class and take the throne. But it's extremely difficult to do that by going to all-out war with the world government. Even the Whitebeard pirates couldn't do it. The revolutionaries have been gathering forces for decades, and they are still completely outmatched. But Blackbeard's style has always been to accomplish his goals as efficiently as possible. Blackbeard will avoid all-out combat if there is an easier way to do things. So rather than rebelling against the world government in a traditional war, Blackbeard's plan from the very beginning was likely a lot more like Capone Beige's plan. Just go straight for the head. That's how schemers like Blackbeard and Beige think. It's a simple logistical approach. For Blackbeard to become king of the world, there is someone up there in Marijua that Blackbeard needs to kill. And this person, this god of the world, never comes down from his throne. So if God never comes down, then the solution is that Blackbeard needs to be invited up to heaven himself. And that's where the entire plan comes together. That's where all of the recent moves of the Blackbeard pirates make sense. What Blackbeard needed all along was access to Marijua. If he has access to God's land, where Emu lives, then Blackbeard gives himself the best opportunity to assassinate him. Why go to war with the world government trying to break down their doors when it's so much easier for them to just let you walk in and take what's yours? That is the genius of Blackbeard. To kill the king, he needs access. To get access, he needs to first become a member of the world government. To become a member, he needed a bargaining chip and an inside influence. And to get a bargaining chip, he needed to capture an iconic marine, and to get inside influence, he needed his subordinate to impersonate the Gorosei. And so at this moment, Blackbeard has gotten everything he needs to begin carrying out the final steps. All of it will fall into place the moment that Luffy defeats Saturn, giving Catarina Devon the opportunity to take Saturn's place. Egghead Island will not just be the Straw Hats' victory, it will be the Blackbeard pirates' victory as well. So let me know if you think Blackbeard will succeed in this plan to kill Emu in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, then definitely like and subscribe. And you can get my predictions on whether Blackbeard might still be able to become the final villain of the series on my weekly podcast by supporting me on Patreon. Link in the description below.